rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' can is swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' can is swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never.
All right. Hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Hello, Claudette. Deronda's in the house. Nessa G, Nessie X. All right, Most Hated Bronze Flat Power God, Priscilla, Deronda. Above all that drama. Okay, so let's get into it. D Major. Okay, everybody hit that like button. Thank you in advance. Okay, so before we get started, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes. Hello, Simply Sandra. Charles is here. All right, here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. And don't forget that she has beard oil as well. All right, so let's get into it. So listen, I saw some things that I thought were a bit strange when I looked at the video of Charlie Kirk again last night. Okay, there were a couple of people behind him who appeared to be giving some sort of significant hand gestures. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention because we're going to get into that in a minute. But also, if you remember, I told you all last night that I felt like this was an inside job. Okay, I felt like it was an inside job. Now, why did I say that? I'll tell you why in just a second. First, I'm going to go to my video from last night for those of you who missed it and show you exactly why I said what I said. And now, other people are saying the same thing. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Likes up, everybody. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. I think it was around the 33 or the 34-minute mark. Okay, we'll start right here. When the police murder an unarmed Black person at a traffic stop, you should ask yourselves, if you haven't already, how. I know he didn't quote Rodney King. Don't y'all find it funny and interesting how racist people always love to quote Dr. King and stuff like that? And they're the ones that killed him, literally. But isn't it crazy? And a friend and I were talking today about how Dr. King's daughter had years ago said she just basically came out and asked them to stop quoting her father. But that being said, the White House, I knew they were going to do this. I meant to tell you all this when they were showing, when I was reading what Trump said about him. Listen, they said the White House lowered its flags to half staff within an hour after Trump confirmed Kirk's death. I just knew Trump would. Okay. In addition, Trump issued a proclamation ordering flags to be lowered half staff at all federal buildings, embassies, consular offices, and other U.S. government properties abroad. Abroad until sunset on September the 14th, 2025. Isn't that something? Like, this man was nobody? This man was a renowned racist piece of ish, as far as I'm concerned. And they're doing all this. This is what Trump does. Okay, I just want y'all to pay attention. Kirk was murdered by a gunshot at Utah Valley University. A spokesperson for Turning Point USA confirmed in a statement to NBC News. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers. We ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity in this time. Students who are still on campus are being offered police escorts as authorities continue to search for the shooter. Police will come and escort you out of the building. Okay, now they say this is what they posted on X. Police transportation available at Orem Station by pedestrian bridge. This is probably an inside job, just so you guys know. So, probably an inside job. Anyway, they said authorities do not have a suspect in custody. The school had said earlier in an alert that police had detained a suspect. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to stop right there. I think that's all I wanted you all to hear, is that I told you all last night that I felt like it was an inside job. So why did I tell you all that last night? Well, here's why. The reason I said that is because Trump, I have been telling you all how Trump's trying to get rid of this whole Epstein debacle. He's pulling out all the stops. He's doing anything and everything to try to get our minds focused off of it. Okay, but it just won't go away. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. But what I happen to know is that not so long ago, Charlie Kirk was talking about the Epstein debacle. He was talking about the Epstein debacle, and he was saying that no matter who Trump is, he needs to tell, or they need to put out the Epstein files. And then there was something else that he said, and I remember thinking, I know Trump's not going to like that. And so last night I said, let me find these videos so I can show y'all those in the morning. But also, my sister, whom I had spoke to yesterday, right after the live, I told her I thought it was an inside job as well. And then my sister sent me a video about an hour later. She was talking about these two guys standing behind him. And I said, well, I didn't notice the two guys. I was just focused on him. And she said, look what the two guys behind him are doing. She said, I think you're right about the inside job. Okay, so we're going to look at what those two guys were doing. But before we get into that, let's talk about Trump. Because they said Trump lashed out. Okay, and left, Trump lashes out and left in darkness. I'm sorry, and left in dark address after Charlie Kirk murder. So he lashed out. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Like, everyone, please like and share. Now, I haven't watched this. I just saw this before I got on here. So let's see what Trump's talking
To my
about.
great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation. joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory. May God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Trump, sit down somewhere, okay? Now, listen, here are some things that I find suspicious. The first thing that I thought that was suspicious after Charlie Kirk was shot was that Trump, the president of the United States, even though he's a lackluster one, but nonetheless, Trump is the president of the United States. Why would they have the president giving confirmation that this man was dead? Shouldn't that privilege go to his wife or family? Why would they have Trump being the one to announce and proclaim and confirm that he was in fact deceased? When has that ever happened? And then he gives this speech today. He gave the statement yesterday. He's given this man the praises that he's not given certain dignitaries that have passed away. Are y'all paying attention to any of this? Y'all don't find it strange? And also, wasn't it interesting how quickly Trump came out and said something? Also, did y'all notice that Benjamin Netanyahu came out and gave condolences also? What do y'all think about all that? I thought it was all very interesting. That's why yesterday I was thinking, as I'm sitting here reporting on it, I'm like, yeah, this seems like an inside job. And this would be a great way to try to get people off of Epstein. But also, like I told you, Charlie Kirk was saying some things about Epstein. So let's get into it. I'm going to let you all hear some of the things that he said about Black folk, too. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Let's go to the racist rants first.
His wife and kids were there. They were there.
Wives and kids were there when they watched their fathers get deported to a concentration camp. Wives and kids were there when they see the police brutality against Black men. There was a school shooting today. Didn't have shit to say about that, did ya? Right? There were kids there that got shot. It happens all the fucking time. Y'all don't give a fucking shit. If y'all had half as much outrage for school shootings and kids getting shot as much as you do for Charlie Kirk, then they wouldn't exist anymore. I don't expect MAGA to get it, but those of y'all who claim to be activists for the oppressed, when push comes to fucking shove, you're showing your true colors and your fucking ass at the same time. Because those who truly stand up for the oppressed do not have sympathy or empathy for the oppressors.
Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that? And the data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened?
A certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder.
Yeah, DEI stands for
one of the biggest.
Didn't earn it, just so we're clear.
Can we also acknowledge, due to the laws under Jim Crow, that black people were significantly hindered from economic advancement?
This is a really important question. The data shows not really. Black Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s. The disappearance of the black father has been the #1 driver of black poverty in this country. At least agree that black dads not being around is a bad thing.
Anyone's father not being around is a bad thing. Starting in the 1980s and continuing onward, there's been a war on drugs. Is this correct?
I like the war on drugs. Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem. Why are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population? So we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting black communities, $20 trillion, and black Americans are poor. Food stamps, subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion that has been spent on the Great Society, and yet black America is poorer, more murderous, more dangerous.
Part of equity
what does equity mean?
is
you mean taking from other people?
Okay, so with that all being said, as you can see, he said a lot of disparaging things about people who look like me. Okay, so I have no sympathy and no empathy or any tears for him. But however, there are some people who look like me. And yes, as you said, Dexter Fuqua, raccoons on YouTube crying about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, people that look like me actually saying it. They must be insane. Okay, they must be insane. But with that all being said, let's go to this video. Now, this man right here seems to think that it also was an inside job. And let me say this. First off, there's a video floating around where you could see somebody up on a roof and then they take off, look like they take off running or whatever, and they have a gun in their hand. And so I guess that's supposed to be the person. But I find it interesting because the way that he was shot does not seem like somebody who was just some regular person who went and got a gun. It seemed like somebody who was definitely a trained sniper. That's just my opinion. And it looked like they got him in the jugular vein or the carotid artery, which I told you all in yesterday with the way that blood was pouring out of there. Okay? I knew there was no surviving that from the jump. Okay, so anyway, but this man right here is obviously a Charlie Kirk fan. All right, but he says this was a professional hit, more than likely with a team pre-positioned to call the shot, agitate the crowd, and create misdirection to allow the shooter to exfil, whatever that is. He says, I smell an intel agency. Shooter is in the wind and more than likely already out of the country. Y'all hear that? And what made them think that that elderly man that they had accosted in the first place, whatever made them think that he did it? Okay, I have questions. But let's just go to this video. March Baby said, that's what I said when I saw it, the jugular vein or main artery. Yeah, there's no surviving that. Jugular vein or the carotid artery, you're out of here. Okay, so here we go. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
America, we have a problem. We have a problem because we have a corrupt government that will mislead you any chance that they can get. Anyone that they put in front of you at this point in state is the assassin of Mr. Kirk is just placed in front of you to get you into your feelings, to water down the narrative, to pull you from the truth. That was a professional hit. That shot was taken by a professional. Now, they might drag some 60-year-old guy out and say, oh, he's a lefty, or this individual is a transsexual. That shot was taken by a professional. Now, I believe they took him out because he was getting too close and too big.
This is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
Okay, so did you all hear that? You all heard what he said, right? Yeah, that's likely why he's up out of here. Now, I'm speculating. I don't have any proof of any of this. But yeah, yesterday when I said this likely inside job, that's exactly why I felt like that. Because of the things that he's been saying about the whole Epstein debacle. Okay, at the end of the day. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Because here's something else he said about Epstein.
What's your opinion on the phase 1 release of the Epstein files? Do you think it was more of a PR stunt with Pam Bondi because she just got into office?
We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period.
Right.
And so yesterday, I don't want to comment because a lot of these people are my friends, but they got to make it right. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list.
Yeah.
Every document the government has regarding the Epstein files, we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website immediately in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know.
Yeah.
Secondly, there probably are a lot of destroyed documents. I think that's probably the issue. I can say with almost 100% certainty that Trump was not on the flight logs. But as far as the client list, that very specific thing, I don't know if it still exists. I'm worried that was actually deleted, destroyed, or disappeared. But look, statute of limitations for child sex trafficking goes for 30 or 40 years. We should impanel a grand jury, and every person involved in the Epstein child sex trafficking should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. Every single person. We need justice, and we need these people in federal jail.
Now, you all heard what he said. Now, that was going completely against what Trump wants to hear, whether he's Trump's friend or not. We know how Trump gets down. Now, with that all being said, and I'm not saying that Trump had anything to do with it, but what I'm saying is I think that people that knew him definitely had something to do with it. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video of the scene. Okay, so we're not going to see where he actually gets shot. That's too graphic. Nobody needs to see that. But pay attention to the two men behind him. Okay, these are two clips that I put together. The first one is the one my sister sent me. And then the second one has someone narrating, and they have like arrows and whatnot showing you, pointing out what's going on. Okay, so let's get into that.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America?
Did you notice the man in the white hat behind Charlie Kirk making a strange gesture before he was assassinated? 3 details suggest that his death was not an accident. Recently, during an event at Utah Valley University, Charlie encountered an accident and died, shocking the public. However, some people noticed that just before Charlie was hit, 2 men behind him looked very odd. The man wearing a white hat touched his hat, then touched his nose. At that moment, Charlie tilted back with the microphone, and then the man in the black t-shirt stretched out his arm, and the accident instantly occurred. As a result, some speculated that the actions of these 2 men seemed like signals to the shooter. Moreover, the way the man in the white hat filmed was very strange. He did not focus on Charlie but kept filming the surrounding scene, as if sending the situation to the shooter. These suspicious behaviors immediately increased the two men's suspicion. In addition, fans at the scene mentioned that just before being shot, Charlie was talking about campus shootings, and the last words he said were gang violence. This makes one suspect that the theory Charlie advocated ultimately came true on him. It is reported that Charlie's wife and children were also present when the accident happened, which was a huge blow to them. Wishing Charlie's family a speedy recovery from their grief, and also hoping to catch the murderer of Charlie as soon as possible. Rest in peace, Charlie.
Okay, so you all saw the two guys behind him, one with the white cap and one with the black shirt. They were both making signals. One of them touched his hand, then put his hand down like he's playing baseball or something, and the other one with the hand gesture. So something is up with that, in my opinion. Okay, I just thought it was a bit strange. So, and apparently other people do too. Okay. Minister Stephanie Samuel said, I saw the signal too. Okay, baby boy said baseball signals. Yeah, exactly. So what's going on with that? I just thought that was interesting. Another thing is this. You all pay attention because, you know, for Trump to come out and have the flags lowered and all that all around the country, and even in other countries where they have U.S. businesses and whatnot, they announced that he had those lowered as well. Him coming out here giving all these statements. Somebody said in the chat that Obama and Biden came out and gave statements for what? Who the hell is Charlie Kirk that all these presidents and former presidents need to be coming out speaking on his behalf? Even over in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, like who was this dude? Like he was really all that important. It's like they're trying to make him into a martyr, which I find interesting because he was anything but. Okay, but here's the thing. Let's talk about who Charlie Kirk really was. Okay, let's talk about who he really was. Here's the thing. First of all, we already know that he was a racist piece of, you know, the rest. And here's the thing, though. You know, he was what I would call an advocate for the Klan. Okay, people like Charlie Kirk, they advocate for the Klan. Him, Tucker Carlson, okay, Candace even was doing the same thing before they kicked her to the curb. Okay, then she tried to get her black card back and it wasn't working. See, here's why they do. Here's what I'm saying. When you think about Klan rallies, when do you ever see Klan rallies popping up? You really don't see them a lot. We used to see them. And in fact, there was one in Stone Mountain some years ago. There were some Klansmen out there, and there were people who looked like me showed up too out there with guns, okay? Like, what y'all want to do? And so, but the Klan was police escorted. The police were there to protect them, which I find interesting because I know back in the day, there's no way they would have ever protected the Black Panther Party for self-defense. But anyway, there aren't many Klan rallies these days. You don't see the Klan just walking around with their robes on and all of that, and they don't have to because people like Charlie Kirk represent the Klan. People like Tucker Carlson, they represent the Klan. Okay, Sean Hannity, all of these people represent the Klan, so they don't need to have them walking around in their robes. Okay, because these are the new Klan members. They say the same things, use the same rhetoric, they just twist the words around. Okay, and I want y'all to pay attention because here's the thing. That's right. Mel said Charlie Kirk was KKK without the hood. Exactly, because here's how it all works. Back in the 60s with Richard Nixon, let's talk about it. If you've ever listened to the audio, the leaked audio of Richard Nixon, what he was saying about Black people, how back in the day he was talking about how, you know, they had to start doing things differently to us. We can't call them the N-word. We'll call them minorities. Okay? See, that's why when you hear them talk about minorities, disparaged communities, impoverished people, urban, when you hear them using those type of phrases, they're talking about us because that's what they agreed to do. Okay, that's what they agreed to do. No, we're going to do the same things to them. We're just going to call it something else. That's why I always tell you all, it's the same soup twice warmed over. They didn't stop doing anything. They just started calling it something else. All right, so they can be blatantly racist right in your face and just play it off like that's not what they're doing. It's microaggressions. So they get people like Charlie Kirk, because think about this. When I showed you all the video yesterday, and you all have seen the videos other places, you saw the crowd, right? You saw the amount of people there. There's lots of people there, thousands of people there. And you saw all of these people who look like Charlie Kirk. You didn't see anybody who looked like me. Now, had that been the Klan with the sheets and the hoods and all of that, if black people heard that there's going to be a Klan rally at Utah Valley University, do you think they would have shown up? Of course they would. They would have shown up just like they showed up at Stone Mountain Park years ago. Black folk would have showed up. But when Charlie Kirk is announced that he's going to be there, nobody shows up. And that's because most black people don't even know who he is. And that's because Charlie Kirk wore suits and ties. Okay, he didn't dress like a Klansman, and he used different words. Okay, so that's how that goes. This is all they do. They're just dressing up their racism and making it look more presentable. And so when they do that and they want to put it out there on a grand scale to spread their hateful messages, well, they won't get much opposition from people who look like me, because a lot of times the people who look like me don't even know what the hell they're over there talking about. Okay, that's because they watch us and we don't often watch them. Y'all see how that works? You know how we say they're so obsessed with us? Yeah, we need to start being obsessed with them so we can see what the hell they're up to. Okay, please pay attention. And also, something like this could easily spark racial tensions. Something like this could easily spark racial tensions. Okay, that's what could happen. I want y'all to pay attention. And then the next thing you know, they'll be trying to blame stuff on people who look like me, even though we didn't have anything to do with it. There was nobody who looked like us anywhere in the vicinity when it all happened. Okay, but pay attention. They'll find a way to put us in it. That's what we do know. So anyway, with that all being said, moving right along, everybody hit that like button. Thank you in advance. So Jimmy Kimmel had something to say about Charlie Kirk as well. Okay, basically, he reacted to the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. He said, instead of angry finger pointing, can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human being? Yeah, we can agree to that. It certainly is. It certainly is. And we can also agree that sometimes people get karma. Okay, and I want you all to think about something too. Because the last words out of his mouth before he was shot were what? What about gang violence? Why did he say something about gang violence? Do you all remember why he brought that up? Because somebody in the audience asked him prior to that, do you know how many shootings or mass shootings, how many trans people have committed mass shootings in the United States? And he said too many. And then the guy said, well, what about mass shootings? And he said, what about gang violence? See, he didn't want to talk about mass shootings because those are disproportionately committed by white men just like him, okay, between the ages of 18 to 35. So he didn't want to talk about that. That's why he said, what about gang violence? All right. And then he got shot. See how that worked? See how that worked? That was instant karma. You know, that kind of reminded me, do you all remember that time when Oprah was on stage speaking? And we know how Oprah is low down and dirty, okay? And how she did Michael Jackson, who she smiled and skinned and grinned in his face when he was living like they were such friends. And then she let those two lying devils get on her platform and make up all that stuff on Michael Jackson. Y'all remember that, right? Do y'all remember that time when she was on stage after that all happened? And she was giving a speech, and then she was talking about staying in balance or keeping in balance or something like that. And then she fell. It looked like somebody literally pushed her, but there was no one there but her. Do y'all remember that? Once in the chat if you all remember that. Once in the chat if you remember that. And people were saying that was the ghost of Michael Jackson getting her back. As soon as she said something about being in balance or keeping in balance, it was just so ironic that she literally lost her balance right in that moment and fell. Yeah, that was actually my first YouTube video. I posted that. It was like a 3-minute clip. Or maybe it was like a minute and a half. It wasn't even that long. That was like my first YouTube video. So you all remember, okay? Yeah, that was instant karma. Okay, that's what this reminded me of. All right, please pay attention. I don't know why any black person is crying, feeling sad or bad or anything about this nefarious man being dead. Okay, at the end of the day, one less racist that we have to worry about as far as I'm concerned. That's all I'm saying, honey, end of the day. So as I said, you know, Jimmy Kimmel obviously feels like people shouldn't be saying anything about this man, even though he was a low down, no good piece of you know what. Okay, my opinion. He says, instead of angry finger pointing, can we just for one day, agree that it's a horrible and monstrous thing to shoot another human being? Okay, that's what he wrote on Instagram. He said, on behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence. Kirk was fatally shot Wednesday during a rally that he was hosting at Utah State University in Orem, Utah. He was the co-founder of Turning Point USA, a nonprofit political advocacy group that backed Donald Trump during the 2024 presidential election. Video of the shooting showed Kirk speaking at a large outdoor event on university grounds. Shortly before the shooting, Kirk was asked by attendee, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? He said too many. A shot then rang out and Kirk lurched forward as blood poured from his neck. Trump announced Kirk's death on Truth Social, writing the great and even. Okay, we already know what he said. Okay, they say FBI Director Kash Patel announced late this afternoon that a suspect is in custody. They say Kimmel has not been shy about his criticism of Trump, frequently mocking him on his late night talk show, and Trump has shot back. Over the summer, Trump frequently posted on his Truth Social that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be the next late night show canceled after CBS revealed Kimmel's late show will be ending next year and the franchise will be canceled. Kimmel also told Sarah Silverman on her podcast that he was obtaining Italian citizenship amid Trump's presidency. He said, I did get Italian citizenship. What's going on with Trump is as bad as you thought it was going to be. It's so much worse. It's just unbelievable. I feel like it's probably even worse than he would like for it to be. He said it's probably even worse than Trump would even like for it to be. Okay, now that's just crazy. All right. So anyway, what do you all think? Okay, so I'm going to go to this other video. This person, hold on. This person is a medical examiner, and he's going to say what he thinks happened to Charlie Kirk. And that's, again, what I told you all likely happened. Okay, likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
As a forensic pathologist, here's what I saw when Charlie Kirk was shot. The gushing blood points to a jugular vein injury. His arms pulling inward is very typical of decorticate posturing, which occurs usually during catastrophic brain damage. At 200 yards with a rifle, which is what would probably cause that, bullets don't just pass through the neck, they would fragment and destroy everything in their path. With that kind of injury, he would have lost consciousness within seconds and survived for less than a minute and probably felt nothing. Law enforcement always finds the shooter, and violence in response to speech is never justified.
Okay, you all heard what he said. He said, violence in response to speech is never justified. I have to agree with him on that. That's absolutely true. Now, with that all being said, yes, Charlie Kirk was deleted by his own people. And isn't that the interesting thing? These racist, hateful people, these wanton supremacists who go in so hard in the paint on people who look like me and act as though we're such thugs and animals and all of that are usually taken out by their own people. Isn't that interesting? I find it to be. Now, that being said, at the end of the day, notice he said that it looked to him like a jugular injury. That's exactly what that looked like, honey. I mean, all that blood pouring out like that, it was coming out like Kool-Aid, seriously. Okay, it was totally hard to watch. Okay, it was gross. And so anyway, here's an update from CNN. They say there's a manhunt underway after conservative activist Charlie Kirk shot dead on Utah campus. Is there really a manhunt? I have several questions. Okay, this is from 4 hours ago. Manhunt continues for suspect in Charlie Kirk shooting, and here's what we know. The shooter who killed prominent conservative activist Charlie Kirk remains at large after what police called a targeted attack on a Utah college campus. The only one person is believed to have only one person is believed to have been involved in the shooting. This is according to Utah Governor Spencer Cox, who called Kirk's killing a political assassination. Now, President Donald Trump described Kirk's death as a dark moment for America and blamed rhetoric from the radical left for causing political violence. See, this further makes me think that Trump knows what's really going on here, because he immediately starts blaming the left, the radical left. This is exactly what I expected him to do. This is exactly what I expect him to do. Now, here's the thing. Are they going to find the shooter? I don't know. What do you all think? Do you all think they're going to find the shooter? Ones if yes, twos if no. Do you all think they're going to find the shooter? If they find the shooter, they may already be deleted from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Thank you. Somebody just said the perfect thing. Sovereign says, how is there a manhunt with no public description? Some theories are that they don't want to headline the white-on-white crime that took place. Okay? There's probably no description, beloved, because there's probably nobody that they're actually looking for. There probably really isn't a manhunt, because they actually already know who did what and what happened, because they're the ones that planned it. Now, that's just my opinion. I can't substantiate any of this. So everybody's putting twos. Marie said they arrested that old white man. No, they let him go. He wasn't the person that did it. Now, with that all being said, they say targeted attack. Kirk was fatally shot while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University, a public university in the city of Orem. The shooter fired once, according to Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason, who said it was a targeted attack towards one individual. The department believes that the shooter fired from the roof of a building. Kirk was shot while answering a question from an audience member about mass shootings. After he was hit, Kirk was taken by a private vehicle to Timpanogos Regional Hospital, where he died. Why was he taken by a private vehicle? I guess they didn't have time for the ambulance to come. He was bleeding so profusely. Okay, maybe. Then they say Trump reacts. The president expressed his grief and anger about Kirk's killing in a direct-to-camera video from the Oval Office. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. That's what Trump said in the video. And now, political violence in the United States. Kirk's shooting comes after a string of instances of political violence in the U.S., including the assassination of a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband in June, an arson attack at the Pennsylvania governor's house in April, and the assassination attempt against Trump during the presidential election last July. Okay, so what do you all think about it? They say Israeli leaders mourn Charlie Kirk, a vocal pro-Israel advocate in posts to social media. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Kirk a lion-hearted friend of Israel and said he spoke to the Turning Point USA co-founder 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Honey, Charlie was well known. He was making the rounds, was he not? Too bad he's gone. Sadly, that visit will not take place, Netanyahu wrote on X, adding that we lost an incredible human being. Kirk, an evangelical Christian, was a staunch supporter of Israel. You know what's funny to me? Talking about being a Christian. Right? This man who was going around spewing hate and racist rhetoric really claimed to be a Christian. And what's even more hilarious to me is Trump was saying that he's going to be with God. What God's he talking about? Sure ain't the God that I worship, not the one in the sky, not the most high creator. I know that's not who he's talking about. What makes people that are so racist and hateful think that they have the keys to the kingdom? As if God really wants anything to do with them, honey. They are of their father, the devil. It tells you that in the Bible, and it's talking about them. That's just the fact. It's talking about racist, hateful, no good people. Okay, that's what that's talking about, because those people are devils. But let me continue. Goes on to say that Netanyahu's son, Yair, said on X that he had lunch with Kirk and his wife, Erica, in Jerusalem a few years ago. He said, the Charlie I met was so young, yet wise beyond his years. I met someone deeply knowledgeable in history and geopolitics, someone who understood the importance of Israel to America, to the Christian people, and to the Christian faith. This is what he wrote alongside a photo of Kirk holding an Israeli flag. They sound like Trump. Like they just love anybody and fawn over anybody who fawns over them. Foreign Minister Gideon Sayar also mourned Charlie Kirk in a post to X, calling him an incredible friend of Israel and a fearless warrior for truth and freedom. Videos from moments before Charlie Kirk was fatally shot show a demarcated space between the tent where the 31-year-old was speaking from the thousands who came to hear him at Utah Valley University. Let me ask you all something. I'm sorry, demarcated space. But let me ask you all something. Now, aside from it being interesting that Trump is the one who announced this man or confirmed this man's death, which is really, really interesting. You all didn't also think that it was interesting that they allowed the videos of his murder to stay up? Once, if you thought that was strange, you know how they usually just take stuff down off the internet real quick, snatch stuff down like that when it's murder, death, or something like that, they don't need you to see. They left those videos up. Y'all don't think that's very interesting that those videos were just everywhere online? And I'm like, it's still on here? Y'all didn't find that interesting? Because I really did. I'm like, what's going on here? I thought that was very interesting, especially when it's somebody who doesn't look like me. They don't like to show that. But they left the videos up. Yeah, Miss E said, I thought it was just me because it usually gets taken down fast. Exactly. Yada said, too many people caught it live, Queen. We're not talking about people catching it live, beloved. Doesn't matter if we caught it live. What I'm saying is the videos were still up. You think these platforms don't care if you catch it live or not? If you repost stuff and reshare stuff, however you got it in your possession, they will take that stuff down immediately. That's what they do. They snatch it down immediately. Some stuff they'll put a sensitive thing over it or graphic or whatever and let you have a warning before you actually see it. But things like that, they absolutely take that down. Those videos were still up like all day. And I'm like, how is this stuff still up? I thought that was very interesting. To me, they kept that stuff up to spark tensions, okay? To spark tensions, to harvest energy from the people that were fans of Charlie Kirk's, because they're all low vibrational and upset about it, mad and all of that, and hurt and all that. And, you know, I really think that was all by design. That's what that was. We'll see in the coming days. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let me go to this other video. This woman says, F Charlie Kirk, may he rest in peace. Okay, I'm going to share this video. And also, here's another thing. They said white people at the Idaho Capitol got into a big fight, a brawl, after a man drove through the vigil they had for Charlie Kirk. This man drove through the vigil on a scooter yelling, F Charlie Kirk. The man looks like them, not me. So I can't show this because they're fighting. It's a whole brawl going on. Hold on. Let me see if I can skip past some of this. And these white people is out here, they're ready to throw down. Hold on. Okay, the police are there. I'm gonna go to the part. I'm gonna go to the part where the police are there because they're not gonna do too much craziness while the police are there, I don't think. Hold on. Oh, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay.
Get out! Get out! Yeah, whatever! Get out of here! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to stop it right there, honey. They got into a whole brawl. Okay, so now let's go to this video here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on. Hold on, here we go. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share.
Shot dead today. Let's take a look at the legacy that he will leave behind. So how about we start with his campaign to dismantle the legacy of the civil rights movement. In a December 2023 speech, Charlie Kirk didn't just critique Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he launched a full-scale character assassination, labeling him as awful and not a good person, claiming he's only admired for saying things he didn't actually believe. Now, he went even further. Kirk called the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 a huge mistake and argued that it created a permanent DEI type of bureaucracy. Now, he pushed the radical theory as well that the act, in his words, superseded the U.S. Constitution. And then when he was challenged, he doubled down, calling MLK a mythological anti-racist creation, and then bragged about targeting the sacred cow of modern America. On abortion, he publicly celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And here's what he said when he was asked if he would force his own 10-year-old daughter to carry a pregnancy to term after she was assaulted.
And she was 10 and she got raped. And she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
It's but it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Now, on gun violence, he consistently downplayed America's gun violence epidemic.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year. So that.
Now, do you all hear that? Do you all hear that? He said it's worth to have a cost of some gun deaths every single year. And now he's a gun death this year. Did y'all hear that? Power of life and death is in the tongue.
We can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
On race in Black America, Charlie Kirk supported a ban on DEI, overturning the Civil Rights Act and promoting a whitewash version of history. He supported banning AP African American Studies and even said that when it comes to slavery, there's a lot more to the story. And when it comes to Black professionals, on pilots, he stated, if I see a Black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He also blamed Black people for the air traffic controller crisis. He frequently disparages Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson as a diversity hire and insisted that she was only appointed because she's a Black woman. He denies that systemic racism even exists and supports punitive sentencing and then referred to George Floyd as a scumbag. He even led the efforts to pardon Derek Chauvin, the police officer that was convicted of his murder. Now, on women and misogyny, he's no better. His misogyny covers us all. He went on a bizarre rant directed at Taylor Swift, instructing her to submit to her husband. And he also claimed that men don't want to date women in their 30s because we're not at our prime. On LGBTQ plus rights, Charlie Kirk has labeled the LGBTQ plus community a cult. He even cited a Bible verse that calls for gay people to be put to death as God's perfect law. He advocates for a nationwide ban on gender-affirming care and calls the transgender identity a lie that hurts people and abuses kids. On democracy and January 6th, his group, Turning Point USA, was deeply involved in efforts to try and overturn the 2020 election. He bragged about sending 80 buses to Washington, D.C. on January 6th for people to fight for Donald Trump. And then when he was subpoenaed by the House committee investigating the insurrection, he pled the fifth. On Palestine, he denies the very existence of the Palestinian people and their homeland and says outright that Palestinians in Palestine just doesn't exist.
I don't think the place exists.
What?
Because it doesn't. It's called Judea and Samaria. It's not
So
called Palestine.
You don't believe that Palestine have the right to exist?
No, everyone has a right to exist. Show me where it is. It's a non-existent place.
He has routinely championed what Israel's doing in Gaza, a genocide. He's championed it, and he's a friend to Israel. Also rallied against COVID-19 and public health measures to stop the spread of information. His organization Assassination, taking $350,000 PPP loans that were later forgiven. Charlie was the founder of Turning Point USA. Their tactics include a professor watch list that is designed to intimidate and harass academics, a school board watch list targeting officials who support public health measures or the teaching of accurate history. He also meddles in student government elections to defund progressive groups. On Trump and Christian nationalism, he played a huge role in getting Trump elected. He organized voter drives and events, and he's often credited for delivering the youth vote for Trump. He invokes the Seven Mountains Mandate, a call for conservative Christians to seize control of all aspects of society. He says Donald Trump is a crucial figure in restoring this so-called Christian morality and has even called for a full military occupation of American cities after the DC occupation to restore order. So knowing all of that, how do you think Charlie Kirk will be remembered?
Okay, that was very insightful. She gave a lot of information. Now here's the thing. Yeah, how will he be remembered? Trump's trying to have him remembered as a martyr, if you ask me. So, this man did a lot. She definitely did her research on him. Hold on, one more. Here we go. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And he said some definitely disparaging things about Black women specifically. Okay, said that Black women, we just don't make the cut. I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying that Black women, we're just hired because of DEI. Like we don't have the qualifications, which I find interesting because here's the thing about Charlie Kirk. I did some research on him and he didn't graduate college. Okay, he went to a community college. I want to say it's called Harper. He attended Harper College, a community college, and he dropped out. Okay, so but he wants to talk about Black women not being educated, honey. Please sit down somewhere, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't need to sit down because somebody laid him down. But let me continue.
I heard a racist just lost his life. Well, good riddance and rest in peace. I ain't got no compassion for you. I ain't got no compassion for a motherfucker that want to see my people suffer. I ain't got no compassion for a motherfucker that want to see your children's children in shackles again. Motherfuckers is finding light in the monstrous, diabolical, horrific history of this damn country that they making light of it, but you got compassion for them. You talk, oh, well, he had a fit. I don't give a fuck. Fuck that man family. I hope they suffer forever. These motherfuckers creating entire careers off of speaking down and disrespecting my goddamn community, and y'all talking about condolences. Put your motherfucker pro-blackness on the shelf if you feel sorry about this motherfucker getting his neck blown open. I don't give a damn. I hope you rot in hell, motherfucker.
Woo, y'all heard that, right? He said, I hope you rot in, where, honey. Please pay attention, honey. He, no lies detected. No lies detected. Now, here's what somebody says. They assassinated the equivalent of Martin Luther King. This will ripple through this country for decades. You woke up the exact wrong part of the electorate that you'll never get back. College-age students. I know they're not comparing him to MLK. A man not known to Charlie Kirk cries hard and claims Charlie was going to be the next president. This man can't be serious. Let's hear what this fool's talking about, honey. This is all crazy for me. I never even heard this. Okay, I just happened upon it. Let's go. Let's see what these people are. These people are out of their minds. I know you didn't compare him to Dr. King. Say what?
President.
Ooh, honey.
This is such bullshit. I've never been so pissed in my whole life. And this murder Charlie Kirk right here in Utah. I'm so freaking pissed right now. This is bullshit. I just saw blood squirting out of his neck. I love that guy. He would have been our next president. I am so pissed right now. Why do they always come with fucking violence? Gosh damn it. Use your freaking words as they're talking to you people. Who shot Charlie Kirk? I'm driving in a Provo right now. I'm so pissed. Damn it. This is such bullshit.
Y'all heard that? He's very upset. Y'all heard that? Who said he's fired up? Who said that? Hold on. Are you from Kentucky? Because that's where we say that at. Yeah, he is fired up, honey. He is very upset, okay? Please pay attention, honey. He is going on a whole rant. I'm talking about crashing and burning. Somebody reposted this video and said they're crashing out. What's for dinner? Ooh. Charlie Kirk says black women do not have brain processing power. That's the video I was looking for. Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, he was talking trash about black women. Okay. This is all a hot mess.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama.
Hold on.
And Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that.
Now he's sitting up here laughing at her, but she graduated. At least he didn't graduate, period. So what's he laughing about? Okay, what is he laughing about? And here's the thing. There's more white women that were helped and benefited from DEI hires and affirmative action than black women. That's just a fact. But let's continue.
We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course.
He's such an idiot because here's the thing. He's saying that they didn't have the knowledge to get in, so they had to take somebody else's spot. Well, it's so arrogant and narcissistic of his stupid self to just assume that even if they didn't have the brain power, if they weren't smart enough to get in, what makes him think and what makes him so positive that they took a spot from a white person? Why didn't he think that possibly there could have been another black person that they took a spot from, if that's what he thinks? You see how stupid he is or was? Okay? He clearly reaped what he sowed, honey.
That's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies. That turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through our...
I've heard enough from him. Okay? And on that note, that's exactly why he's out of here and nobody really cares, except for the idiots who think like him. Okay? That's how that goes. Charlie Kirk was murdered today. Here's what he thought on George Floyd. Okay, yeah. Let's go to what he said about George Floyd. Okay, we'll look at a couple more beloveds and then we'll move on. Hold on. These videos just keep popping up.
Knee on his neck.
Yeah.
You were trying to get the officer who murdered George Floyd pardoned, and I just want to know what your reasoning was about that.
Well, George Floyd didn't die because of the police officer. He died largely because of a drug overdose.
But he had his knee on his neck. We all saw the video.
But the knee on the neck is actually an approved police technique that police departments taught Derek Chauvin to use. Do you know that George Floyd was saying, "I couldn't breathe," well before that restraining technique? And
so why'd they use the technique if he already couldn't breathe?
Well, because he was actually resisting arrest, and they had to restrain him. And they restrained him in a way that they were taught to do, which is the knee on the neck technique.
Okay, so when does the technique end? Like when they die? Like he said he couldn't.
No, I mean the technique ends when the individual stops resisting arrest. His cause of death was not asphyxiation; it was drug overdose. He had
that was a part of it. Like he also had a heart thing, and like he was on drugs, but like he wouldn't have just died if he was standing there. Like they had his.
Well, actually, there's an argument to be made. According to the medical examiner, he was drug overdosing in real time. That it wasn't because of the police officer.
Now listen to this asinine argument that he's attempting to make, because here's the thing. If he didn't die due to Derek Chauvin's actions, why is Derek Chauvin in prison? Why is Derek Chauvin in prison? Okay, that's all you have to tell him. I would not continue to go back and forth with someone who's making a nonsensical argument. It makes no sense. Of course Derek Chauvin killed him. That's why he's in prison. Okay, what is he even talking about? He sounds ridiculous. And here's the thing. This is the reason he would argue and debate the teens or the students in colleges. Okay, their brains aren't even fully developed as of yet. He's debating people, that he thinks he has a little bit of more intelligence than, just because he's older than them, because he's in his 30s, right? And these are the youth. He's not debating anybody that's of age or anybody that's finished and completed their education. He likes to go to college campuses and debate the students. Okay, please pay attention. Why do you think that is? Because he's not that darn, he wasn't that smart.
Derek Chauvin that put his knee on the neck. And they were taught to do that. According to the Hennepin County Police Department, they teach that as an approved restraint technique. And by the way, this is just a broader point. Our whole country blew up because of this incident, and it was largely based on a lie. We were all.
What was the lie?
The lie is that there was a white police officer that went after a black person just because he was black, and it just wasn't true. He was resisting arrest.
Okay, but he killed him. Like that doesn't.
Well, again, the county medical examiner disagrees. The county medical examiner in the original report.
So then why did he get sentenced?
Exactly. That's a good question. I'm saying it's because it was largely a show trial where actually they were not.
Okay, so I guess he has an answer for everything. Like he's so damn stupid, honey. That's why your ass is dead. That's why your ass is dead. Okay, that's why right there. You're just stupid as hell. Making the most asinine argument ever. Okay, somebody says this isn't news. It's dangerous incitement that will lead to more violence. Yeah, I absolutely think so. It already did. I want you all to pay attention, because while they're out there fighting each other, you don't think they'll be trying to start some mess with us next? This is all to spark racial tensions and to cover up the whole thing about Epstein. Above all that drama, say you don't have answers today, Queen. What are you talking about? I don't have answers today. Sit down somewhere. That's right. Mel said that's why he's gone. Exactly. Oh, you talking about he didn't have answers today. Exactly. Okay. So he seems so matter of fact about being wrong. Exactly. That one girl. Exactly. That's what it was. You see, the thing about him, beloved, as he's talking about, Michelle Obama and Ketanji Brown Jackson, all of them were narcissists and arrogant, but that's what he was. He was so ignorant in his arrogance, though, that he didn't even realize that he sounded like a complete idiot, sitting there making excuse after excuse after excuse for why the whole thing happened with George Floyd. But at the end of the day, George Floyd's killer is sitting in prison. He was sentenced and convicted. He was convicted and sentenced. So what are you sitting here arguing for? Then when he's asked about that, he says, oh, exactly. Good question. See how stupid he is? Yeah, he's in prison because what he did was criminal. Oh, my goodness. Bobby's channel says there are Black people on social media protecting this man, even crying. There are Black people who are part of that Anglo-American conservative movement identifying with white nationalism. Yeah, there are, sadly, and they're going to get their karma too one of these days. Okay, they're going to get their karma too one of these days. They're going to turn out to be just like Candace Owens when people take their black cards and nobody's checking for them in the black community. And then when they tick off the people on the other side, they're going to try to run back over here just like Candace did, and we're not going to be checking for them. Okay, because how dumb do you have to be to sit here and cry over somebody who doesn't even care if you live or die, doesn't give a damn about the oppression or the systemic racism, okay, or the fact that you and your people have to live under a system of wanton supremacy? Why are you crying for somebody, that is involved in that? Make it all make sense. Let's go to this next video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. This is all just so perplexing at the end of the day.
This is clear incitement. Less than 1 hour after conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was tragically pronounced dead, MAGA Fox News host Jesse Waters goes live on air and declares war.
They are at war with us.
Hold on. Let me put some over this.
Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. What are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible.
Wait. I just want to pause it. The chyron at the bottom says, Charlie Kirk assassins still on the loose. At this very moment, we do not know who did this. We don't know their ideology. You could make assumptions in your head, but in what reality is it okay to go on air in front of millions of Americans and use rhetoric about they're at war with us? It is very clear incitement. I have not seen a single politician on the Democratic side say this is okay. Everybody has unequivocally condemned it, and everybody should, so we can tone down the rhetoric, because again, when somebody who disagrees with you is murdered like this, that could lead to somebody who agrees with you getting murdered like this. It is a catalyst for violence that then becomes a chain reaction.
He's not lying. He's absolutely right. And I want you all to pay attention, because you know what this all sounds like to me? Remember how I told you all they would try to blame this on us? Who the hell is he talking about when he says they? He may be talking about the Democrats, but some people, like Charlie Kirk, when they hear they're going to start thinking about black people. They're going to start thinking about black people. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. At the end of the day, that's what they're going to start doing and blaming it on us. Okay, because he was spraying racist rhetoric against us. So they'll use that to some kind of way, finagle it to make it like it's our fault. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay? Because I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. Why is she crying? Black people have dealt with this for over 400 years, been trying to tell other minorities and immigrants we should all stick together, but no, me not black. Imagine this been their whole damn life, not just the last year. Oh, what? Hold on, let's see what this little young lady is talking about. Oh, she's crying about the Supreme Court. Hold on, I want y'all to hear this.
For those that don't know, the Supreme Court ruled Monday for the Trump administration and agreed U.S. immigration agents may stop and detain anyone they suspect in the U.S. illegally based on little more than working at a gas station, at a restaurant, at a car wash, speaking Spanish, or having brown skin. That is all they need. If you speak Spanish or have brown skin.
I'm not trying to be funny, but honey, I don't have time to be hearing these people sitting up here crying. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Because y'all was sitting up there, Latinas for Trump, Latinas for Trump. Weren't they saying that? Isn't that what they were saying? And they were dancing? Weren't they doing all that? Did I miss something? Okay? So sorry. Okay? Please. Y'all asked for this. Y'all asked for this. Don't cry now. How many tears have black people cried for all the things that happen in this country? How many tears have we cried for Eric Garner, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Okay, I'm sorry. What? Make it all make sense. Philando Castile, Sandra Bland. Who supports us? Who dries our tears? I mean, I probably feel like that much empathy, but not much more. Okay, because I'm sorry, y'all did this to yourself.
You are in danger. My family's in danger. And we have to step up. We have to be the change. We have to spread the word. Make sure to keep your family as safe as you can. You know, let them be informed. And that's the best that we can do. But, yep, the Supreme Court ruled this on Monday for the Trump administration.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say I feel a little sorry for her because she's a kid. She looks like a teenager or whatever. So I feel a little sorry for her, but not collectively because this is what they did. This is what they voted for. Okay, bless her heart. She has no choice. She probably isn't even old enough to vote. But for the Latinas who voted for Trump, don't cry now because you brought this on yourself. Okay, you brought this on yourself, and that's just what it is. It's nothing we can do about it. I'm not going out there protesting. I'm not going out there and saying anything because at the end of the day, we have to stand on our own too. Right? I don't believe they need to bring back psych wards, but let them cook. They turn her death into racist propaganda. Oh, okay. Let's go to this because this guy is talking about the lady that got killed on the railway, Erna Zarutska. Remember the Ukrainian immigrant, the black guy that killed her? You know, I told you all that man, in my opinion, had mental health issues. And sadly, we don't have mental health facilities here to hold people and to treat them. So they're just roaming the streets and just in some cases killing people. It's very dangerous. I'm gonna put an overlay on this. Okay.
Is if there's a black person involved that they can blame. Damn, that's when they care about white people. It's a really sick mindset. Once again, lineage of evil. One thing I will say, I talked to 99.9% of black people about this story, about what transpired. And it's horrible. I think we all agree on that. And they wanted me to give a message. And on behalf of 99.9% of black people, I'm here to talk to the white ignorants out there and let y'all know we are deeply uncaring. That is correct. We don't care, bruh. I'm sorry. We don't give not an ounce of caring about what happened to this girl on the train. And let me tell you why, okay? So I know some of y'all are spitting out the raisins in your potato salad. Let me tell you why. Because I'm old enough to remember a man named Jordan Neely, okay, who was on the train and who was wrongfully taken from this planet. And then he was not only seen as not guilty, but he goes on in an interview to say that he would do it again. On top of that, he got a meeting with the president and the vice president.
Now, if you all remember, that's exactly what I brought up yesterday. And I also brought up the two black sisters who were killed or who were stabbed on a subway in New York years ago in 2020. And one of them died. Okay. Stabbed by a white man. And we didn't see news reporters getting all emotional, teary-eyed about them. In fact, like I told you all, they showed a picture of the young lady that passed away with a phone case that looked like a gun, trying to act like she was some thug or something, and didn't come out and could retract, okay, or change, the narrative until we went in on them. That's what they did. But let's continue.
That's correct. His only accomplishment for meeting the president of the United States was that he took the life of a black man, an innocent black man on the train. Damn. In this country, that was celebrated. That was approved. Okay. That was applauded by this country. I just wanted to let you know. I haven't come across not one black victim that this country has seen as a black victim. How about for, shits and giggles, we go the conspiratorial route, just as you guys did with Ahmaud Arbery. Remember, he had a hammer in his back pocket. Oh, he was casing the joint, trying to rob places. How about we do this with this Iranian, right? This blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl, okay? How about we say, hey, we don't know what happened before the video, okay? Maybe he could have been justified, all right, in what he did to her. We don't know. Maybe he knew her. Maybe she cheated on him. Hey, maybe, we don't know. Maybe she called him the N-word before getting on the train.
Oh, he is good, honey. He is good. Let him cook. I like this young man.
We don't know. Do you like that? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel happy inside when someone tries to justify a heinous action? Huh? Because that's what we've been dealing with. We can go George Floyd. I know y'all love bring up George Floyd. Y'all still bring up George Floyd. And even till this day, you're still saying that George Floyd, hey, it was fentanyl and that Derek Chauvin was innocent. How about that? How about we say, you know what? She didn't actually perish from any puncture wounds. She perished from fentanyl. We have to wait until they do the drug test. That's what we have to do. We have to wait until they do the drug test, all right, before we can actually say, without a shadow of a doubt, that it was, the puncture wounds that caused her to no longer be with us. How would you like that? Does that sound good? Furthermore, let's go on with the immigration. She was actually a Ukrainian refugee. She was an immigrant. And from my understanding, based off of what I've been looking around, y'all don't take too kindly to immigrants right now, right? Don't y'all want the immigrants out of the country? Isn't that what y'all want? So I would think, based off of your logic, he should deserve an award, right? He should get some type of accolade. He should maybe go to the White House. Maybe Trump will have this black man at the White House and he'll take pictures with him and the VP, okay, with Vance. How about that? Would y'all like that? I would like that. I think that would be a very strong message out there for all you ignorants out there. So I'm just coming up with cases because the irony of all.
Okay, I absolutely love it, honey. He is right on point. Like, miss me with it. Okay, miss me with it. Let me repost this real quick. Hold on, beloveds. Nancy Mace just blamed Democrats for Charlie Kirk's assassination, but when asked if Republicans own the mass shooting of black lawmakers in Minnesota, she laughed and said, "Are you kidding me?" Let's get into it. People are something else. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
Logic to Republicans.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
By that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
Political.
Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking.
No, not at all.
You said the Democrats.
No, this is on. Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%. And I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am
mindset.
Dog shits of a fuck that it happened. Let me say this. First, I'm sorry that this happened. And then second of all, I could give less than 2 dog shits of a fuck that it happened. This man despised my people. He spoke disgustingly and disparagingly and destructively about black people. And you think you want me and others like me to show a goddamn ounce of sympathy for a man who could give 2 fucks about my existence? No. Let me be abundantly clear. If you one of them people that say, well, 2 wrongs don't make a right, well, you could take your 2 wrong ass up out this video and go take your tap dancing ass on somewhere else. I do not show sympathy and grace for somebody who disliked my being, who spoke disparagingly and disgustingly on people that look like me just because he disagreed. This man recently said that the Second Amendment The right to bear arms in this country, right? It comes with some sacrifices. And if those sacrifices are a few deaths, then so be it. Well, goddamn it, Charlie. As black folks say, look at God. With all due respect, stop asking people to have sympathy when sympathy wasn't fucking shown to my people in my community. We understood what happened with that brother and that Ukrainian woman on that subway. It was disgusting, and that brother should be buried under the jail with concrete poured on top of that. But it just gave people like him another opportunity to say that black people and black crime and black on black. How is it that it's never possibly our mental health that may be impacted, that may cause us to do something we shouldn't do? But when it's a white person, that's the first fucking thing that they go, it's their mental health. We are never given the grace of our mental health being something that causes us to do something we shouldn't fucking do. We're seen as thugs and less than human.
Isn't that exactly what I said, family? Isn't that exactly what I said? They don't give black people the benefit of the doubt that just maybe they were suffering from mental health issues, like that man that stabbed that lady on the rail. Okay, because I absolutely think that's what his problem was, mental health issues.
Listen, people are telling me, oh, he has a family. Think about the family. Well, I am. I'm thinking about mine. Power to the people.
Y'all heard what he said? All right, he's thinking about his family. I am too. Like, man, I don't care nothing about his family. His family is just as racist as he is, kids included, because he taught his kids to be racist. That's what we know. Okay, that's what we know. So, like, sorry, not sorry. Brought that on himself. Okay, let's go to this last video here. We're about to be out of here, beloveds. Hold on. Last video.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders. They commit more arsons. They commit more kidnappings.
Now, let me just tell you all something. He knows that he's sitting here lying because the statistics do not say that. Statistics show that most arsons, rapes, okay, those type of crimes are committed by people who look like him. Okay, PDF files, more people that look like him than black people. So he's lying and he knows it. And here's another thing. If you all remember, I showed you all just a few days ago, I showed you the young white boy, the young white teenager who's like probably 15 or 16 years old. Remember all the stuff that he was saying, and he put it so eloquently when he talked about the oppression of black people and how black people don't have a fair shot. He was talking about reparations and all of that. Now, if that young man who's a teenager understood and knew the truth, you think that he didn't know the truth? Of course he did. But his job, racists, wanton supremacists, their job is to say all the negative things, to highlight the negative things about people who look like me, and then act as though we're not deserving of any type of reparations or anything because we're just so nefarious. And we're doing worse today than we were even doing way back when. Okay, and it's not their fault, it's our own fault because we're lazy and we're just thugs. That's the narrative that he pushes. And that's why I'm telling you, the real Charlie Kirk was nobody different than a Klan member. He just didn't wear the white robe, and he said the same racist rhetoric that the Klan members say. He just used different words to get his message across. Okay, that's what people like him do. Right? People like him are very beneficial to the movement, the wanton supremacist movement. Okay? They're very beneficial because, like I said, nobody's going to show up to oppose them. People who look like me are not showing up in the droves to oppose them when they're having their rallies because people that look like me don't usually know who people like him are. Some black people don't know who Jared Taylor is, Richard Spencer, all of these wanton supremacists who go around spewing the same racist rhetoric and saying things that could incite violence, saying things that are racially charged and all of that about people who look like me. Okay? Doing the same work as the Klan, period. That's why you don't see the Klan anymore, because now you just see people who look like them. All right, in suits and ties, spewing racist, hateful rhetoric.
Things, for example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay, let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the U.S. government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates? If Charlie were actually looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the U.S., he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
Exactly. So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Exactly. So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
Exactly. So blacks
Instead, he's making an illogical racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments, something that becomes even more obvious in his next point.
Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations specifically. Black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
Okay, and that's no lies detected. All right, very well said. So I'm going to stop it right there. Now, somebody put in the chat, hold on, let me go back here, that a white man killed 3 Ethiopian people in Cincinnati. Right, I think I talked about that some days ago. I think I did. I'm not sure, but I definitely know that story. And I'm glad you brought it up because I'm going to do a follow-up on that because nobody is really talking about that story. Okay, and I think that they may be trying to sweep it under the rug, which I'm going to see to that they don't do. All right. So anyway, listen, Charlie Kirk was low down and nefarious as far as I'm concerned. And anybody who looks like me that's sad that he's going or crying or showing empathy and sympathy, you need to check yourself. All right. Because if you care about somebody like that, you damn sure don't care about yourself or your people. And that's just a fact. Okay. That's just a fact. Now, with that all being said, hold on. Let me go to this report here. Hold on. Okay, so they're talking about the investigation into the assassination. All right, let's get into it.
Investigation into Charlie Kirk's death.
Report. I'm Tony DeCopel in New York. We are coming on your air because we are about to get an update on something many people are paying attention to, the investigation into the murder, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that highly influential conservative activist who was gunned down yesterday while he was at an event, holding an event at Utah Valley University. Thousands in attendance. Now, as far as we know, the person who shot him is still at large, but we are hoping to learn more right now. It is about 7:14 a.m. in Utah, very early for a press conference. This could be substantial, so let's listen in.
Participating in a student-sponsored event with Turning Point USA. Charlie was shot at that event. He was transported to a local hospital where he later passed. Last night, his body was moved to the state office of the medical examiner. We will continue to facilitate movements to get him home today and with his family. Yesterday, during the investigative process, we located a couple of persons of interest. We interviewed those individuals, and after releasing them and after clearing them of being suspects, they face scrutiny, they face threats. We asked the public to be patient with the investigative process. These individuals were not suspects, they were people of interest. We ask that you do not impose into those people and that investigative process. They don't deserve that harassment for being subject to that. I'd like to thank all the investigators that are involved in this. They have worked around the clock, all day yesterday, through the night last night. Investigators from the State Bureau of Investigations, from county, from city agencies, the university, our federal partners with the FBI, the ATF, and many others. Those are just a few of the people that we have involved in this. I'd like to thank all of them for their strong work. Through all that work last night, we were able to make a few breakthroughs. We were able to track the movements of the shooter. Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time. We are working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we are confident in our abilities right now, and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe and moves this process appropriately. Last night, I communicated with Erica. The family's devastated. As a commissioner of public safety, as a father, as a husband, I can only imagine what that family's going through. The heinous event that happened yesterday is not Utah. This is not what we're known for. Over the past several weeks, we've seen this state come together to help families in mourning, come together as a community to show what Utah is known for a state of character, of service, of camaraderie, of a neighboring feel. We will not stand for what happened yesterday. We are exhausting every lead. We have every officer invested in this, every investigator, every local agency. The outpouring of support from the law enforcement community has been astounding. We are investing everything we have into this, and we will catch this individual. Having walked through the crime scene, through the hallways of this school, through the classrooms, I can't imagine what the people on scene felt as well. A horrific event where some
Okay, so I'm not going to play that whole thing because it was like 15 minutes or whatever, but you get the point. Okay, they're talking about they're going to find the killer. They're going to do all this and that. The investigation continues. I think they already know who the killer is. That's just my opinion. I think it was a whole inside job, and this is nothing more than a psyop. That's just my opinion, to distract people from Epstein, but Trump, it still ain't working. Okay, because we've already figured out what it is. Okay, some of us have already figured it out. Like I told you all on yesterday, you heard it here first. So with that all being said, I will see you all later, okay, because I'll be back about 6:30. So I hope you all enjoy the broadcast. Hold on. Let me go through a few of the comments. Ended by gun while propagandizing gun violence, implying Black people are inherently violent, and by the gun of someone who looks like you. Exactly. I mean, the irony of it all, right? That was nothing but poetry in motion. Okay. With that all being said, Special K said the lies he tells, they're trying to get their people hyped and find a fall guy. I agree. Okay, Claudette said, Queen, I agree. Okay, Mel said, right, Queen. Okay, thank you. Okay, Swift said, I wouldn't want to be a public speaker these days. Mr. Elevation said, you have good footage of the shooter, but can't release the info because of difficulties. Right. Bertha said, Mac is diabolical as hell. Okay, and so with that all being said, songwriter Sonny said, white people not only recognize Neely's behavior as indicators of mental health, but see no difference from the black people who work in corporate cosplaying white people and not MJ. Okay, I'm kind of confused by the comment, songwriter Sonny. Okay, you said a whole lot. I'm just kind of thrown off. Okay, so anyway, Terry says, thank you, Queen. You're welcome. Evision says, yes, inside job to distract everyone from what's really going on with them files and stuff. Exactly. Durant said, hashtag, you heard it here first. Okay. With that all being said, listen, I'm out of here. All right, everybody like and share, subscribe to the channel. Okay. I'll be back later on, like I said, talking about any trending topics. Likely, if there's any more information on this Charlie Kirk thing, and I'm going to look into those 3 Ethiopians that were killed in Cincinnati to see if they have any more updates on that. Okay, so anyway, and a few other things. Anyway, with that, I've been saying, love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got